On the edge of the skate video here.
And it says we're live.
Hey, we're live.
We're
hey,
live.
everybody.
All right.
Good morning.
Well, it's not a Wednesday.
No, it's not. It's good. It's a good Saturday morning.
Well, let's start recording our podcast.
All right.
Count it down.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Media Boat Podcast, coming to you on a sunny Saturday morning. We're going to start doing these on Saturday mornings now. A little inside baseball for y'all. This is the Media Boat Podcast. If you don't know what the Media Boat Podcast is, we are a podcast about media. We talk about movies, television, video games, and music, not necessarily in that order. Today is October the 16th, 2021, and this is episode 301. My name is Matt, and joining me as always is Mike.
I'm Mike. He's Matt.
That's true.
This is episode 301, and we'll be doing, or at least try to be doing, live episodes now.
Yes.
Part of every centennial that we do, we kind of change it up. Either new season or centennial, we change it up. We try to mix it up. So these will be coming to you Saturdays now instead of our usual Wednesdays. But that does mean that we get to listen to the new music that came out on Fridays.
Right.
And any
potentially movies, yes.
As well.
That's kind of the nice benefit of us doing Saturday morning is we can kind of take in a Friday and Thursday and round up the week for you instead of predicting what will happen. It's more about like the week that was as opposed to the week that comes.
Right. And as we've famously reported on here, that stuff happens on a Thursday, the day before we record.
Although, of course, we jinxed it in a way because something's happening in about 30 minutes today, the DC fandom stuff. So we won't be able to report on that until next week. But today we have a bunch to talk about. So let's get right into it. We'll start with movies as we always do. And we'll start movies with the weekend box office numbers. And do I get to do my gloat dance?
Yes. Yes, you do.
I do get to do my gloat dance because I was right. No Time to Die is your number one movie. Of course, new James Bond movie, long awaited. That was guaranteed to be your number one. But that didn't quite make the numbers anybody was expecting. Didn't even make Venom numbers as it only came in at 55 million. Did you see this coming?
No.
No one did.
No one did.
Why do you think this happened?
Partly because James Bond is an older franchise.
Attracts an older audience.
Attracts an older audience. A more vulnerable audience,
sure.
We could say.
Yeah, you could say that.
Someone could say that.
Someone could.
It's also Daniel Craig's last performance as James Bond.
Uh-huh.
So, what was the last one? Not Spectre.
Well, Spectre.
Spectre also left a bad taste in people's mouth as it tried to harken back to old James Bond instead of what the previous films were doing, especially Skyfall, which was new James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a combination of those factors.
Yeah.
I thought the fact that it was the last time Daniel Craig was James Bond was going to overcome all that.
But no.
Yeah,
I think that maybe we just overestimated the importance of the franchise.
Can we blame Rami Malek for this?
No, I don't think so, because I feel like if there was more Rami in the marketing, that may actually have benefited it. People like their Rami Malek. But yeah, so disappointing turnout so far for No Time to Die. It'll probably do better internationally, is what I'm hearing.
It already has. It needs to make $350 million
to make its money.
To start making its money.
And I don't know if it will. This is probably one of those situations where they're going to bank on the digital performance. When this thing goes streaming, when this thing goes digital, I think that they're going to hope to make some of that money back in that end.
Now, we have talked about MGM
yes.
and Amazon.
Yes.
Or Amazon buying MGM, which includes the James Bond franchise.
But we also talked about how the people who own that IP are very litigious and are going to keep that from being exploited. So they don't want Amazon to start churning out TV shows or spinoffs.
Until they die, and then their heirs come out and say, hey, we'll do that.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit, I think. I don't think that's going to be an immediate concern.
I mean, we talked about Sue Grafton last week about this happening.
Yeah.
I'm saying money talks a lot louder than wills do.
So we'll keep an eye on No Time to Die as it continues. But man, what a disappointing start. Number 2 in your top 5 this week, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. In the second week, made $31 million. That's sitting pretty at 141 already, thanks to a stellar debut. Number 3 was The Addams Family 2 with another $10 million. That's at 31. Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings comes in at number 4, $4.3 million. That's at $212 million domestic. Is that your first Is that our first 200?
It crossed 200 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but is that our first 200 of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Black Widow did not cross it.
Right,
it came just short at 187.
And then rounding out your top 5, number 5, The Many Saints of Newark, which you talked about last week, $1.5 million. That's sitting at 7.3. Of course, that's also on streaming. So it'll make a little bit more money there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's it for the box office. Upcoming releases, we just have a couple this week, and it's Halloween time, so get ready. Last night, we saw The Last Duel in Halloween Kills. Well, we didn't see it, but I'm saying...
They premiered.
They came out.
Yes.
The Last Duel is the...
Matt Damon, Ridley Scott, Adam Driver. I'm going to... duel you.
Yes. I wish they just broke out the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That'd be a better movie. And then, of course, Halloween Kills is the next Halloween film.
Coming right off of the previous film, Halloween.
Yes.
Which I will talk about in a quick bit.
Well, we'll talk about that in a moment. But for now, let's move into news. And we start news with a follow-up story and more of a wait-and-see story, it seems like this. Because we talked about the other shoe dropping on the IATSE strike, and well, it's about to drop. It's been raised.
It's in free fall right now.
Yeah, it's been raised, and it's just a matter of the studios to say when it falls. Matthew Loeb, the president of the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, aka IATSE, said early Wednesday that unless an agreement is reached, 60,000 union members will begin a nationwide strike against the major studios on October 18th at exactly 12:01 in the morning. That is a Monday morning. Loeb said the union will continue bargaining with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers this week in hopes of reaching an agreement that addresses the core issues. The union are seeking, just as a reminder, a 10-hour turnaround between shifts for all workers, as well as a 54-hour turnaround on weekends. They are also seeking increased meal penalties as a way to force productions to stop for lunch, and an end to discount rates for streaming services. So basically, cutting out the fat, making sure that they're getting their breaks, making sure they're taking lunches, and making sure that it's not like after maybe a 7-hour break, they have to start working again. It's very clear rules that are being established here.
Right. Also, it says 12:01.
Yeah.
Because that's when Monday
actually starts. So Monday.
Yes. So come this weekend, we are all on pins and needles, waiting for that literal other shoe in free fall.
Yeah. So of course, the thing that stops this is the studios coming back to the table. Do you think?
No. The thing that stops us is an actual deal being done.
Well, that's what I'm saying. To like settle a deal. Mm-hmm. Do you? What do you think the likelihood of that happening is?
They've already had the signs made. Mm-hmm. They've already designated spots.
Yes, but
they're
on the studio's side, what do you think the likelihood of them actually doing something about this is?
None, because there's already appointments out there.
Yeah.
That looking for people willing to cross the picket line.
I also did see a story last night that was talking about how networks are already trying to think of what their schedules are going to look like if a strike takes place, what they have kind of already prepared.
Yep.
And yeah, so if they're expecting a strike is likely. So if that happens, though, that's going to be a wild time, because we've talked about it before on this podcast. Without crews, the landscape, everything just stops.
Yes. Tangential to this, speaking of strikes in other worlds of parts of the news, not media related, John Deere.
Yes, I saw this.
Also went on company. Employees also went on strike,
as
well as Kellogg.
Yes, Kellogg's
also went on strike because unions could not reach a new deal. So that's 2, possibly 3, and things love to come in 3s.
Oh yeah, well, it's not just 3s, because we saw the one with Nabisco about a month ago.
Yeah, right.
That was resolved, thank God. So I think that, I saw something on Twitter point out, and I think they're right, is that we may be in the middle right now of a labor revolution of sorts, or at least the beginnings of it, because unions are finally, employees are becoming unionized more often now than they used to, and I think they're actually wielding their power.
Especially coming off a pandemic where companies saw record profits and not having those profits come down to the workers who actually made that happen.
So, well, hopefully this is just the beginnings of a trend. We'll have to wait and see if this becomes a snowball over time. But hey,
Ooh, delicious snowballs.
Yeah, I know. It's full of cream. That's what's in a snowball, right? It's like coconut cream.
Yeah, it's coconuts. Yeah.
Anyway,
let's throw it off the tangent there.
Yeah, the snowball tangent. Let's move on to our second story, which is actually some movie bits for you.
The bits.
We start some movie bits with you with Michael Caine.
Michael Caine?
Yeah. He's announced that he is retiring from acting following his next film, Bestsellers. Although it is important to note that his agent, apparently in response to this, denied this statement, even though Michael Caine said it himself.
Right. Also, this does mean that his previous final performance in Tenet
is now not his final performance.
After all. And that line, thank you, Mike, thank you, Sir Michael,
it's not
now is mute.
I mean, you know what? It's still going to go down as like, hey, remember when Michael Caine retired?
So, I think so we'll mark it as his last blockbuster film, and we'll mark this or whatever side project.
You could also say that that's way of like of Christopher Nolan saying goodbye. You could say that might be an interpretation for you. But yeah, he will be missed. We love Michael Caine. Yes. And it'll be sad to see him leave, but hey, good for him. Take a retirement while you're on top, while you got the money, while you still have some years to live. Campaign. Yeah, while you still have your it's his. All right, next up in the bits, we finally know what the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse will be called. Drum roll, please. Spider-Man.
Drum roll now.
You can actually. We have a desk in front of you.
Yes.
It will be called Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. To me, that implies maybe going into the different worlds as opposed to having the worlds invade his.
To me, that implies a musical version featuring Beatles music across the Spider-Verse.
No, I hate it. No.
Where do they get Spider-Man, turn off the dark?
No, God, no. Please don't.
And you too.
It's actually funny that you made that link because there is the same person involved in both of those.
Yes.
So her name is blank. I'm blanking on her name. But anyway, the less we talk about her, the better. Next up in the bits, as we mentioned at the top of the show.
Real quickly about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse. Yes. There are little bits of rumors and speculation going on about who will be returning, as well as the different Spider men, women, and people.
Yes, Spider people. Spider folk
coming across into this this universe. So if you thought 6 was a lot in the previous film,
there's more.
Double, maybe triple that.
Ooh, want Spider-Man.
Yes.
All right. Next up, as we mentioned at the top of the show, DC Fandom is scheduled to take place right now.
Still not happening. Why won't you move faster, Tom?
It begins in 15 minutes, so just wait. Next, and then lastly in the bits here, Will Poulter has been cast as Adam Warlock in the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So if you're a fan of the Guardians, you likely know who this is.
Do you know who Will Poulter is?
No, I do not. I don't know who Will Poulter is, one, and I don't know who Adam Warlock is, two.
Okay. Do you know who Eyebrows Kid is?
Is it that guy?
Yes.
Oh, weird.
It's weird that you don't have his Eyebrows Kid and not Will Poulter.
Hey, you know what? I don't know names.
But when you Google Eyebrows Kid, Will Poulter shows up.
Okay, so as someone with comics knowledge, is this a big deal? Is this exciting?
It's increased power scaling. So if you thought Captain Marvel was too powerful, wait till you get a load of Adam Warlock. Because in the original Infinity Gauntlet comic series, he's the one who wields it and ultimately defeats Thanos.
Oh, I see. Okay, so he's super powerful.
He's on that level of power scaling here.
All right. Well, we'll have to see. All right, that's it for the bits. We have a couple thoughts for you. Who do you want to go first? You want to do the little quickie? Because mine's going to be your super quick.
Okay, go quick then.
All right, so this is a little bit of follow-up. We mentioned last week that HBO Max was going to get the streaming rights for Halsey's film for her album, If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power, which was previously an IMAX release.
Yes, an IMAX only release.
So now it's on HBO Max. You can watch it in the comfort of your home. I did so. And there's not much to this. It's only 50-something minutes long. It's not even an hour. It's more of a short subject than a full film. And there's a plot, sort of, but not really important. The whole thing is essentially a visual accompaniment for her record, not too dissimilar from what Beyonce did with like Lemonade and the self-titled.
And Casey Musgrave just did
yes.
with Starcross,
which I still haven't watched. Christy Plus accidentally paid for a full month, so we still have Paramount Plus, so we might actually watch that. But yeah, so it's a good visual accompaniment to the record. There's some really good cinematography happening in this. It's really pretty. You can tell that it was shot for IMAX.
Okay.
Because they really take advantage of just showing this vast wilderness and very ornate costuming and makeup that's all done by Halsey herself, according to the credits. It's very impressive looking. It's a metaphor for, or not metaphor, it's very literal about her pregnancy.
Okay.
Her character in the film also becomes pregnant and has a child.
I mean, that was her with the kid on the cover of the albums.
And yeah, it goes some interesting places. And it's visually very, very cool to watch. So if you like the record, if you like Halsey, check it out. It's kind of weird and kind of creepy at some points, but it's pretty cool looking. I had a good time watching it.
Okay.
So it's a recommend, I think.
If you like the album,
if you like the record, you're gonna like this. It's very,
and you really like that album.
I do really like that album. But yeah, so all right. Well,
I might give it a watch. See if it changed my mind on the
album. Put it on the background. You don't need to pay much attention to it. You can just look at the pretty images, and there's very little dialogue in it.
It might give me to change my thoughts on the album.
Probably not. Actually.
Probably not.
Probably not.
All right.
You're not already on board. It might not grab you.
Okay.
But what you're already on board is not so much, is horror movies. You have a tumultuous relationship with horror, as we've talked about on this podcast.
Yes, we
before.
do.
But you somehow, for some reason, watched Halloween Kills.
Because it was safely from the comfort of my home on Peacock.
All right. Well, did Halloween die? How is Jamie Lee Curtis?
Old.
She is older than she used to be.
Well, she's grandma in this film.
I mean,
as she was in the last film, which is exactly where this film jumps off from.
Yes.
So previous film, Halloween 2017? 2018? 2018, yeah. 2018 Halloween.
Right.
This immediately follows the events from that.
Okay.
Except for the first act. The first act is actually a throwback to the original Halloween.
Okay.
1970 something. 80. Yeah, I want to say
sounds right.
I want to say 77, 78.
Okay.
In which it's shot, acted, and looks like it fits right in with that film.
Okay.
Which is both amazingly astonishing and also the credit to the cinematographer, director, everyone production behind the scenes to make it look and feel like it belongs with that film specifically.
It takes an effort to make something look old now.
Yes. Well, not just look old, but how it's shot, how the camera lingers longer than it does in more recent films, where it's quick cuts right up front, lots of blood, or it's very reminiscent and very echoing, playing not only homage but also in a direct comparison to that previous film.
Yeah,
which I love, and specifically why I've been vehemently
looking forward to this.
No, yelling at Stranger Things when it does stuff like that.
Yeah. Because they can't replicate it in the same way.
Right, because
the budget difference is probably stark when you think about it. You think
I got
Netflix television. Yeah, you say that, but the difference between the gap between film money and Netflix television money, even if it's a prestige Netflix show, is such a large gap, and you can see that budget. So, but did you have a good time with it?
So that was just the first opening act of it. And I loved that. It kind of set up a backstory as well as different points of view, because at this point, going into the film, what to expect. Michael Myers gonna go kill people.
Yeah, Mike Myers, Pitcher for the Angels. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's why he has the Halloween music when he walks up to the mound.
Yes.
Yeah, Michael Myers gonna go kill people.
Yeah.
And so what this Halloween Kills does is take what you know as an audience, even if you didn't see Halloween 2018, you know that, hey, why don't these people just go hunting for Michael Myers? Well, guess what?
They're going to try.
They're going to go do that. They're going to go hunt Michael Myers. And that's what the basic plot of Halloween Kills is.
Okay,
it takes right off from Halloween, where he's already gone on a killing spree.
Yeah.
And now the town is kind of fed up with this.
Getting revenge.
He's been haunting the town for the past 30 some odd years. And so the town, both the adults who were traumatized as kids and the kids who were traumatized from like the recent upbeat killings, are like, okay, we've had enough. We're going to go and kill the demon. We're going to kill the evil.
Yeah.
We're going to kill Halloween.
Yeah, right. Hence the name.
Hence the name Halloween Kills. Mm-hmm. So it does provide a really interesting mirror back on us about mob mentality.
Right.
And what it means to like go after evil.
How's this?
What is evil?
How does this differ from like stuff that the Purge films have done? Like, is that similar kind of metaphor for that mob mentality? Well, maybe the negative side of it, and this is maybe trying to say what the positive side of it could be to potentially.
No, because I feel like with the Purge kind of film, it's more anarchy than it is mob mentality.
Okay.
Whereas this is there's a single goal that the whole town is after: kill Michael Myers. So more hive mind, I guess you could say.
That's a really interesting take on a horror film.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have seen that coming. Does it work?
It surprisingly does work. Okay. I enjoyed it. Right. I just say, like, as I've said on here, like, I don't really like horror films because it can get very campy, too much blood, and like not scary. Where this isn't so much scary as it is slasher film. And that's kind of what Halloween has been, slasher film.
Okay.
So I enjoyed the deaths. Very creative.
You can quote you on that.
Yes.
I enjoyed the deaths.
Multiple deaths.
It's October, everybody. It's October.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, okay. I enjoyed
Halloween Kills. All right, so that's on that's in theaters right now and also on Peacock.
Yes.
Do you have to be a paid Peacocker?
I believe so.
I'm gonna say that again.
I believe so. I think you have to be paid to watch it.
That makes sense, yeah.
Because otherwise, why would it be on the free?
Right, yeah. Why would they put that for free? That doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
Imagine having an ad after every death.
You're watching, and then all of a sudden, like death and Applebee's.
Yeah, I was thinking, and then the fancy light starts playing, and you're like, ah.
The true horror of 2021.
True that. All right, cool. So is that a recommend?
If you're into the Halloween spirit, yeah, recommend it. Even if you hadn't seen Halloween 2018,
sure.
Like, you kind of know what you're getting into, though.
Cultural osmosis.
Cultural osmosis says Jamie Lee Curtis trying to fight Michael Myers.
That's really all you need. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on then out of film and into television. And of course, we always start the television section with the Sports Corner. We start with a tradition every year.
The Sports Corner.
Yes, that's the Sports Corner right there. We start with a yearly tradition of the NFL going to London town to have a spot of tea. Who's playing in the London NFL game this year?
Last week, we had the Jets versus the Falcons with a combined 2-6 record.
Gross.
Yeah. But don't worry. They're actually in London again this week.
Oh, but not in London. Oh, they are in London again?
Yeah. Yes. NFL is having back-to-back weeks in London.
Oh, okay. 2 games.
Yes. With 2 rookie-ish quarterbacks.
All right.
Really, it's a Florida game where the Miami Dolphins will be playing the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
Which have a combined 1-8 record.
I was going to say, we're somehow even worse. I bet.
But this is also part of the head coach Urban Meyer of part of his contract is that they have to play 3 years in London, at least 1 game, similar to what happened with LA when they got their new stadium. That until the stadium was built, they had to play 1 game outside the U.S. per season.
It's such a weird. Like, I know that the league is doing it to be like, hey, look, other countries, American football.
They sell out, but then again, it's because they get 1 game.
1 game, yeah, that's the thing. If you give anybody one of anything, they're going to go to it because it's the one time they can do it.
Even if it's versus teams with a combined 1-8 record.
Even though it seems that nobody in London knows who the hell they are. Yeah.
Right.
Well, interesting nonetheless. So we'll see how that second game turns out.
Yep. Also, quickly in football news, because Jacksonville is still unwinnable, still doesn't have a win.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are also unbeatable, as they are currently 5-0.
Wow.
Going into this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, but that upcoming weekend has to be tomorrow, so we'll see if that holds steady until next week. Mm-hmm. Meantime, the biggest story in the NFL world this week was in Las Vegas, because the Raiders. Oh boy, this was a lot.
So you heard about this story?
I heard about. That's how big of the story was. I heard about this story. John Gruden has resigned.
Yes, that John Gruden.
Yes. After leaked emails from the Wall Street Journal and New York Times showed a pattern of offensive and inappropriate language. The man apparently is real bad, which I guess we already knew.
I mean, this is also the head coach that hired Ricky Incognito.
Yes, exactly.
Following his antics.
So yeah, I feel like this was a big deal, but also no one was surprised.
Right. Everyone figured that this is the part of the football locker room talk that kind of goes hand in hand with it. But this is also part of the league's deep dive into the ongoings of Washington and their football team.
Yes.
And how
the Washington football team.
Well, before they were called the Washington football team.
But yes. That's what they're called.
Yes. And how there was a stirring of both racist comments and derogatory claims. And so from those emails came this. Right. And as people have been saying that if they can get John Gruden from here, who at the time wasn't even connected with the NFL, he was part of Monday Night Football, what other coaches out there or people within high organizations also partook in this? Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if there are more. Considering that we already know that the NFL is full of old white men with questionable opinions. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is not surprising. This was not out of nowhere. It was certainly not out of left field, even though that's not a football reference. But still,
it was out of bounds.
It was out of bounds for sure. He was out of bounds. It's true. This was an encroachment. So yeah, it's good to see him ousted. For
some people, it was a personal foul.
It was a personal foul, I'm sure. So yeah, unnecessary roughness on his part. Let's move on. I'm done with I don't know if we have any more of these. All right, next up in sports, we take it to baseball, which is in the midst of the postseason right now. We have a Final Four, we think.
Yeah,
yes, Final Four. We have the Final Four. So the wild cards are over. The divisional championships are over. We are down to the league championships. We have
the conference.
Yes, conference finals. We have the Dodgers and the Braves in the National League, and the Astros and the Red Sox in the American League. As it stands right now, the National League starts today. There's already been a game one for the Astros and Red Sox, and the Astros took that. What are your feelings about these matchups? What do you think?
Even though I root for a team that plays in the American League,
yes.
I am all for the National League winning this year.
I mean, it seems likely when you look at who you got here.
Right. Also, look at who you got here. You have the Astros, who won 2 years ago. You have the Red Sox, who won 3 years ago. You have the Dodgers, who won last year. And then you have the Braves, who were in the finals in 2016.
So it's predictable, is what you're saying. We could have seen this coming.
These are all playoff teams from the past 5 years.
And if you look at it, it makes 2020 season even more of an outlier. It shouldn't count in a way, because like the results of that year was so different than what we got, besides the Dodgers, of course. The rest of it, this all checks out from what we knew about those teams prior.
Yes, but I do need to bring up point of contention, because we did not podcast on Wednesday. And even when we podcast last in episode 300, we didn't know who was winning that Dodger game.
Right, yes. Yes, we need to talk about that call.
Yes. No, not just that call, but the fact that the Dodgers and the Giants played against each other, even though they both won 107 games.
Yes. Well, that's why everybody was playing that series up so much, is because it was like these two rival teams facing against each other in what may be the biggest game that they've ever faced.
Oh, rival is an understatement.
Yeah.
These two teams have played since the 1800s.
Yeah. Yes. Hundreds of years.
Yes.
It's wild to think
That's
about.
3 centuries worth of rivalry between these two.
But ultimately, I mean, the Dodgers just outplayed the Giants. It was really rough sometimes to watch the Giants struggle there.
Hey, that last Game 5 was a classic.
It was so good.
Until the very last pitch.
Yeah, it was so good until that call.
To which, like the spike for what is a check swing shot up.
Right, yes. It was amazing. So after that call, they just show the Giants fans, because they were in San Francisco, and they just showed the Giants fans. One of my favorite was they just lingered on this dude. He was just literally in shock. He was full Giants regalia, and he's just going like, just that was his face. Yeah. You can't see it in the audio version, but trust me, I'm making a stupefied face where he was just like,
yeah,
it's just like wide-eyed, just faces, a lot of these,
faces,
a lot of hands to cheeks.
These.
Yeah, it was because it was ridiculous. It was like,
you should never end a call like that.
Yeah,
especially a game like that on a call that's questionable.
No,
you better be certain,
confident.
People are saying this is similar to when the Rams Saints played in their championship game a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember this.
Where there was a no call on what was everyone saw as a pass interference play.
Yeah, which would have been the difference.
Yep.
So, this will just be another one of those baseball stories that, we're telling in 10 years about like how it was robbed. That being said, though, no big surprises that the Dodgers advance. I think that they won't have trouble with Atlanta.
They shouldn't have trouble with Atlanta.
They shouldn't have trouble with Atlanta. I think we're looking, if I'm going to predict, I think we're looking at another Astros-Dodgers contest here.
I'd like to see Red Sox-Dodgers.
I also would like to see that, but the Astros they just have the lineup, and they just obliterate right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Kike Hernandez is having a postseason right now. He's on fire.
Now, the Dodgers may get Max Muncy back.
Maybe.
And when they do, they will quad dominate.
Yes.
That is a super insight.
No one will get. All right, we're 30 minutes in the show, so let's move on. We have a couple of other, just one more sports bit for y'all. If you've been paying attention to the WNBA, the Phoenix Mercury and the Chicago Sky will be in the finals.
Currently going on right now, the series is tied 1-1. Yeah. Last I saw, best of 7 for that series. But on that note, with the end of the WNBA, comes the start of the most wonderful time of the year.
Yes.
We've got baseball and football and hockey and basketball for all.
What he's saying is, it's the opposite of the one day where there's no sports. It's the week.
3 weeks.
3 weeks where there's every sport.
Every sport is in play.
So hockey began this week.
On Tuesday, yes, with the raising of the banner for the Tampa Bay Lightning, which they probably lost that game. And then the inauguration of Las Vegas. They're playing the Seattle Kraken.
The release of the Kraken.
Yes. The Kraken has been released. Even though they didn't win, they did score some goals, so that's good on them. But hockey season started on Tuesday, this past Tuesday. This upcoming Tuesday, the NBA starts.
Yep, basketball
starts.
Cool.
With the Bucks versus the Lakers, where the Bucks will raise their championship banner from last year.
All right. Well,
and thus begins 3 weeks
of sports paradise.
Let's see, 2 to 3 weeks of sports bliss, where everything is in season or postseason, but playing games.
That's dope. So I guess record those sports centers. All right. Let's move on into television news. Now we're done. Or any other sports wrap up you need to do?
Oh, that was the sports wrap up.
Every sport. Well, let's move on. We do not have time.
Lastly, in sports entertainment, on this upcoming Thursday, the 21st, will be the Royal Rumble. Following that will be the new season of the WWE, where the results from the WWE draft will officially take place.
I don't know. I think you need to get on the new hotness, which is the AEW. I feel like you're old school now, repping for the old.
I'll get on that after they do WrestleMania in LA and I go to it.
All right, well, we'll wait until that happens. Let's move into television news, where our first story takes us to the Food Network.
Delicious.
Where a longtime partnership, is coming to an end. Bobby Flay, as in Beat Bobby Flay.
As in, yes, that Bobby Flay.
And Food Network are parting ways after 27 years. There have been negotiations on a new contract for some time, as his latest 3-year contract expires at the end of the year. Flay, of course, has been a staple of its programming since way back in 1994, when Food Network was still in its infancy. It can only be assumed that Flay's team was looking at a similar or more lucrative deal than the $80 million over 3 years deal that Guy Fieri landed earlier this year.
That turned out to be correct. They were looking between $80 and $100 million.
Well, Bobby, you're not worth that much.
Well, Guy Fieri got that deal because people tuned in for Guy's
love Guy.
And
I don't think people love Bobby Flay as much as they love Guy.
Not anymore.
In 2021. He had a moment, sure.
Yes. Even though Bobby Flay is around in Top Chef, Chopped, Iron Chef America.
He's everywhere. But he won't be soon.
In America. But yeah, this is effectively ending that partnership, which means Bobby Flay will go over to the cooking channel.
Well, no, he probably won't, because the cooking channel is the same bunch.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought it was different.
No, it is not different. It's a separate channel, but it's owned by the same people. So I bet he will probably do something completely different. I bet he'll make a streaming deal. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Bobby Flay show pop up on Netflix, for example.
I was going to go with Amazon, similar to what happened with Heidi Klum.
I could imagine this. Yeah, this is very similar to the Project Runway kind of situation. Mm-hmm. I could see him doing just a different kind of show for a streaming network.
I'd like to see him go the Anthony Bourdain route and do a travel show with Bobby Flay.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what he chooses to do. Mm-hmm. In the meantime,
name that travel show.
Flay flies. That's all I got. Flay flies west. It's nothing. Anyway, let's talk about, instead of food, let's talk about video games. Oh, wait, no, we're not getting to the video game section right now, but we are talking about the intersection of television and video games.
This is the crossover event we've been waiting for.
Which, when you were, if you're our age, you might have enjoyed some of in the mid-2000s. Yes, I'm talking about the network G4.
Which they still have yet to call us on.
No, it doesn't look like they accepted our application. Well, G4, if you were a fan back then, will be happy to know that they will officially return to linear television starting on November 16th, 2021. At launch,
that's a Tuesday.
Yeah, I think that's a Tuesday. At launch, G4 will debut linearly, which, if you're not, into the business, means on cable, on channel lineups of Comcast Xfinity TV, Verizon Fios, Cox Communications, and internet streaming service Philo. But don't worry, G4 said it also will collaborate with Twitch on a multi-year promotional and commercial partnership through the network's official channel if you do not have cable. G4 also plans to continue to create platform-specific digital content for social media and YouTube, as it has been doing in the months since Comcast Spectacor? Never heard of that. Teased its return.
Well, it's like the Comcast parent.
Oh, I see. Here's the quote. We made a promise to fans that we would build this network with their input and are proud to say that our promise has been kept, says G4 President Russell Aarons, who joined the network last month. Shows in the G4 grid for the November relaunch include a reboot of Attack of the Show, hosted by original host Kevin Pereira. X-Play, of course, hosted by the original host Adam Sessler. Boosted, a weekly esports comedy series covering the trends, news, and tournaments. Sasuke, reruns of all 167 episodes of the original Japanese competition series Sasuke,
which you know better as
Ninja Warrior, as it was localized here. Licensed from the Tokyo Broadcasting System. G4 will also air 3 tournaments that have previously been unavailable in the US: Sasuke 35, 36, and 37.
Yes, more Sasuke.
There you go. ESL Gaming also will premiere. G4 will produce and broadcast several primetime sports esports programs with ESL, a first for the esports organization in the US and Canada. G4's exclusive linear broadcast rights for the ESL Pro Tour events will include the IEM Katowice 2022, which is, what game is that for?
It's fighting.
Okay.
And it's a fighting tournament.
And finally, a Dungeons and Dragons limited series which will continue G4's partnership with Wizards of the Coast, which, if you don't know, publishes the D&D series, with a limited run series set to premiere on this fall. The series will follow 4 campaigns with a mix of G4 talent, veteran D&D players, and celebrities, so live tabletop play.
Correct.
That's a lot. Is this something that you're interested at all in? Because I watched a lot of G4 in that era.
You can say no.
But I feel like I don't care anymore. I feel like where video games were in 2004 is such a different landscape than where video games are in 2021. I feel like you don't need a channel like this when you have YouTube.
Right, and that's going to be the big hurdle that they have to overcome, is what makes them unique from YouTube, where you can get not just one person's opinion, but 5 people's opinion and publishers' opinion as well, as they do video.
It sounds like they're going heavy on esports too, which is weird to me as well, because I feel like they're about 3 or 4 years too late to that train.
Yes, but where do you go to watch esports?
At individual, because I feel like the streaming is now done by those companies themselves on their websites.
Yes, this would be the broadcast version of them, not streaming. And
then, of course, the other elephant in the room we have to talk about here is Adam Sessler, because yes, we all loved him in the 2000s. He was our favorite curmudgeon video game reviewer. Right?
But now he's old man yells at video games.
Yeah, well, his Twitter antics have gotten a little out of hand over the last 5 years. There's been some controversy regarding some of the remarks he's made about the trans community in specific. So the luster, I think, has worn off a little bit on the Sess. And I don't know if the community will welcome him back with open arms like they may have if he hadn't had said those things. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a little leery about an X-Play with him on the helm. I was kind of hoping that they would bring it back with new personalities.
Yeah, I was hoping for new hosts and he would just be executive producer, popping every now and then. But
no. I feel like maybe they gave way to the quotient of fans who were like, no Adam Sessler, no deal.
Right.
And I feel like
that's going to backfire.
It's going to backfire. Does Olivia Munn come back to Attack of the Show?
No, she's an actress now.
That's what I'm saying.
She's a mom.
She's too famous? Spending too much time with John Mulaney?
Well, yeah, now that she's no longer with Jason Sudeikis.
Right, yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care. What do you feel?
Wait, she's pregnant now with John Mulaney's kid, right?
Yeah. They're having a kid.
Yep.
Are you going to watch this?
No, I don't have Comcast.
Well, I mean, like they do like Twitch stuff.
Oh, I wasn't watching it on Twitch already, so no.
Okay, so
I'm also not on it, so why would I watch something not on?
I guess the message is this is not for us, but
it
if
used
you're
to
out
be
there,
for us.
Yeah, it used to be for us. 14-year-old me was watching X-Play every week.
Yes.
But that ain't me anymore.
Yes. High school me was looking forward to E3 on X-Play on G4 every year.
It was the way to watch the press conferences.
Yep.
Way back before Giant Bomb talked over them. Anyways. All right, let's move on out of television and talk about some thoughts.
I watched some stuff.
Yeah, I watched one of these things.
Okay, well, let's get the big elephant out of the way here. Technically, this is more TV news, but Matt Amodio, if you don't know that name.
Amodio.
Yes.
They say his name every week.
I know, but I always tune in like 5 minutes after.
And I mean every week, because this man had quite a streak.
Yes.
On Jeopardy.
38-game winning streak.
This is a bit of a spoiler. I'm technically not caught up, but whatever.
Well, the internet is caught up, but yes, 38-game winning streak has come to an end.
Yes.
Matt has won $1.5 million playing Jeopardy across 4 different hosts, I think.
Yeah, I think he sets the record for most guest hosts that he's been under.
Yes.
But also, he is now the second most won games in the regular season.
Correct. He leaped over James Holzhauer by a total of 5 games, because on average, you shouldn't win past, in 100 games of Jeopardy played, you should only win about 33% of them, which translates to about 33 games.
But of course, the one exception to this rule is Ken Jennings, who still has the record at 72.
Yes. So for every third that 100 games played. Ken Jennings is on the opposite side of that, close to 75.
Speaking of big deals in the mid 2000s. Anyway, so yeah, it was cool to see him. I think he was very good. He had a James Holzhauer style of playing where he would big bets in the daily doubles.
Yep.
So yeah, it wasn't a surprise. He played the system in the way that James did and was successful because of it.
Yes, but people were annoyed with the way he was answering.
Yes!
Because it was always, what is?
Even when it was a person.
Yes.
To me, I think there should be a rule that disqualifies you, but whatever, I guess.
Right. Also, because it's putting the state of a question, which is, what is
that's the
question?
Yeah. But the fact that I guess maybe he found that faster, so he had to think of the proper phrasing.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It worked for him, and he was successful. $1.5 million.
Yeah, $1.5 million successful. We will see him in the Tournament of Champions.
Oh, definitely. He'll be back.
Yep.
He will be back.
He will be back.
All right, what do you want to talk about next? You want to move through the stuff you watched, or do you want to talk the thing we both watched?
I believe you watched this, right?
The first thing, yes.
First thing?
All right.
Yes.
So, do you like Muppets?
I love them.
Do you like the Disneyland / Walt Disney World ride, The Haunted Mansion?
It is a must ride when you go to Disneyland.
Well, what about if those two things were one thing?
Like a crossover event?
Like a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Ooh, so delicious.
So, Muppets Haunted Mansion premiered on Disney Plus last week. And it is exactly what you think it is. Almost to a fault, if I might say. A little peek at my opinion about it. What did you think about this?
I think you either have to be a fan of the Muppets or a super fan of Haunted Mansion.
Because it would be weird if you were watching this if you weren't a fan of the Muppets, but sure.
Yes, but there's a lot of stuff specifically tied to the ride of the Haunted Mansion that they point to, and if you're not a fan of that ride or
it's gonna go over your head.
Super fan of like all the like you've ridden it all your life, it may go over your head a lot of it.
It's interesting that you say that. So I watched this with Christy, who's never been on the Haunted Mansion.
Oh God!
So I was pointing out things where I was like, "Oh, that's from the ride," and eventually I had to stop because the entire thing is basically the ride.
Yes.
So yeah, that's kind of my feeling about this whole thing is that it felt weird to me. Half of it is it's trying to evoke the Muppets films and specials from the past, like the classics like Muppet Treasure Island, Muppet Christmas Carol, the Muppet movies. Like it's very trying to do that kind of balance of they're going to sing a silly song for a while, they're going to make these really corny jokes for a while, we're going to reference the Muppet Show for a moment. Like very specific, like Muppety trappings. Yes. So they're trying to evoke this classic Muppet feel. But on the other side of it, they're also trying to reference, like you said, the ride, but profusely throughout the whole thing to the point where it almost feels like it's a giant ad for, hey, go check out the Haunted Mansion ride. Go ride it.
It felt like a precursor to them changing up Haunted Mansion and actually doing something with it to a Muppet Haunted Mansion. Honestly, when it comes to the haunted Halloweens that they do.
Honestly, well, two things. One, when I first started seeing rumblings about this on the internet, that's what I thought it was. I didn't know it was a movie. I thought they were going to do it for their actual ride. And two, this is a controversial opinion. I would rather have that than Nightmare Before Christmas. I am not a Nightmare Before Christmas person. I don't think it's that good of a movie. So, send your hate comments to mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. But because I know I'm outnumbered on this opinion, especially of people around my age who love that thing. But
I'm not on that.
Yeah, I'd much rather have the Muppets Haunted Mansion.
Like I said, if this is a precursor and we get Muppets
I'd be okay.
Haunted Mansion next year,
I'd be okay with that.
I'd be good with that. Yeah.
So I feel like because those two disparate things are kind of meeting in the middle, I didn't love this. I came out on the other side of this being like, kind of creaky and not all the jokes hit and the guest stars are not there long enough for you to realize that they're guest stars. And poor Darren Criss gets the shaft in this thing.
Also, some of those guest stars reference themselves, so very inside baseball jokes.
Yeah. It felt forced in a way to me where it just felt like it's trying way too hard to evoke those classic things without being at the level of quality that I expect from those things.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you feel about it?
Like I said, it felt like a big ad for the Haunted Mansion because as the film played out, it's like, oh, You're literally going through the ride, and yep, that's what you see first, and then we're gonna cut over here, and that's what you see.
They change things up a little at the end.
At the end,
there's the big plot point when they finally get around to it with the romance. I'm using giant quotes here.
Yes.
Does kind of move things in a different direction, and there's a very interesting moment this thing has with Gonzo as a character, which I think is really interesting. And if the whole thing was about that, it would be much better.
But it doesn't play around that until that specific scenes.
When you get there, you realize, I guess they've kind of been hinting at this, but it feels kind of out of nowhere. And so the emotional impact that could have been there in that scene doesn't hit as hard.
No.
And so when you get there, you're like, okay, so this could have been something more interesting. This could have had emotional pathos, and then they just didn't try hard enough. They were so leaning so hard onto, hey, this is like the ride, guys, that they didn't go hard enough in that direction.
And that's where I kind of opened this with. If you're a fan of the ride, you're going to enjoy the hell out of it.
There's enough Easter eggs in there where you can be like, oh, it's fun, like point, almost like a hidden Mickey-esque, like, hey, that's a thing, that's a thing, that's a thing.
Yes.
Like this door bulges in the way that the door bulges in the ride, stuff like that. Yeah. Like Statler and Waldorf are in the ride thing. Oh, they did the thing when the ride shuts down.
Yes.
No, and I had to tell this to Christy because Christy didn't know what the hell was happening.
Right.
So yeah, if you haven't rode the ride, a lot of this will be completely meaningless to you. But maybe there's enough Muppet charm in here to get something interesting from it. I don't know. It's weird.
Maybe there's enough Haunted Mansion fans out there.
It's weird to be a fan of a ride, but who cares?
I don't know. Disneyland like shoves 1 billion people through its doors every year.
Yeah, but I get being a fan of Disneyland, but saying Haunted Mansion fans is very fun to me. I'm imagining a subreddit for the Haunted Mansion ride. If that exists, I'm sorry for the entire community. But like, Jesus Christ, if that's where we're at as a society.
Hey, don't be sorry, you just gave them a shout out.
r/Haunted Mansion. I wonder if people go in there and start talking about the Eddie Murphy movie. Because weirdly enough, Christy has seen that. So
that was her reference point?
Yeah, going into this, I was like, she's like, I wonder if this is going to be like that movie. I was like, this is not going to be about that movie. No one saw that movie. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a pass personally, but it's maybe something, if you like the Muppets, maybe something to put on in the background.
It's also a Halloween-esque special.
Right.
So if you're in the mood for Halloween,
it's there.
And you don't have Peacock or Halloween Kills.
Exactly. If you
or
want something
you have
with kids. Yeah, if you want something with the kids, it's fine.
Yeah,
but it felt throwaway to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if you're into something spooky for the holiday season,
okay,
and something that invokes goosebumps on you,
like the book series, like the children's book series,
like physical goosebumps.
Oh no, actual goosebumps. Okay,
but also that the book series by R.L. Stine.
Yes.
Then Disney Plus has a new anthology called
So Weird
Beyond.
Oh, sorry. So Weird.
Called Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, I was gonna say So Weird is also
So
Disney
Weird.
Plus. Yeah. But anyway, so what is this? Just Beyond?
Just Beyond, based off the Boom comic series of the same name, also by R.L. Stine.
Hey!
Just Beyond is an anthology that takes the high school days of yore and gives it a spooky supernatural twist to it.
Ooh.
So part Twilight Zone, part Black Mirror. There's definitely something unsettling about each episode as you watch it, but also part like self-reflection, even though it is Goosebumps-esque.
Okay.
I kind of enjoyed them.
All right.
But also to the point that they're only a half hour each. So if it was an hour, I felt like it would have been too much per episode. But the half hour kind of fits just right.
Kind of like a Goosebumps chapter book, where it's just like a quick, breezy thing.
Yeah. Well, because Goosebumps are like quick books to read. And so you get everything that you kind of want out of it in those half hours. And I think it's a good thing that it's an anthology series. Because when I first saw the commercials for this, since all the setting was like in a high school setting, I thought, like Just Beyond is like this high school where kookies and hijinks and all this weird stuff appears. But no.
Different settings.
Different settings. If you like the Goosebumps books, you'll kind of like this too.
What age group of kid friendly is this?
It's super kid friendly. Okay. All right. Yeah, no blood, no gore.
So you can jump straight from the if you're reading the Goosebumps books, you can go straight to this.
Yeah, it has really reminiscence of Goosebumps books, but without any of the like total scare factor that those kind of had.
Okay, a little bit more creepy, less terrifying.
A little bit more science fiction.
Okay.
There's like aliens and witches and some like witch spells casting and stuff like that.
Well, sounds all right.
Yeah. It also kind of a couple of episodes play with current technology as well. There's one that deals with like an app that lets you change your appearance.
It's a Black Mirror light.
Yeah, that's what it's like. A kind of mixed Black Mirror and there is.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Christy might check this out. She seemed interested in this.
It's kind of it's a fun romp. Like I said, there's 8 episodes. They're all a half hour, so you can break it up as you want. Mm-hmm. But each episode is self-contained. Oh. Unlike What If, where at the very end they all kind of mesh together.
This does not do that in the same way. Cool. That sounds good.
And lastly, real quick, a Peacock original.
Oh.
Do you like escape rooms?
No.
Do you like your family?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say no too.
My family's pretty cool.
I was going to say that this is not the show for you. Because Create the Escape is on Peacock. Right. This is the kid-friendly version of escape rooms, where the kids create an escape room for their parents to solve.
Oh, okay. That's a neat hook.
Yeah. So it kind of takes you behind the scenes of what goes into an escape room. It breaks down the different puzzles. They don't reuse puzzles, which I like. Mm-hmm. There's different puzzles here's how the magnet puzzle works and how it can be interacted with. Here's how the cipher puzzle works. Here's how the number puzzle works. Here's how the shadow puzzle works. Mm-hmm. It's a great behind the scenes of breaking down escape room puzzles. If you're really into escape rooms,
there's interesting stuff.
But they bring you down because they're talking to kids about it. So it's family friendly, easy to understand that anyone can watch it and be like, oh, I liked all this. It makes me want to go do an escape room and put this to the test.
So if you're a parent who really wants their kids to get into escape rooms, this is a gateway.
This is a super gateway to do it. Yes.
Don't do it. Don't do it, kids. Don't fall into this trap.
But it also feels like this was supposed to be on like science kids, because the breaks feel very forced television-esque.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
It's because it's also like the kids. It's also part like arts and crafts. Where DIY DIY kids can like help create a paper mache tree. They can help create like worms using straws and gelatin.
Sure, yeah. The old spaghetti and meatballs as eyeballs trick.
Yeah. It's different stuff that's part like kids DIY stuff, but also teaching you how puzzles work in escape rooms.
All right, that sounds neat.
Yeah. So even though they technically build the escape room, what they're really doing is building the puzzles.
Right.
Because there's an actual build team that comes in and creates the actual escape room with everything on it.
That's neat. Yeah. I think that's neat. Families that are into escape rooms, I think, would have a good time with that.
Yeah. As someone who's a fan of escape rooms, I had a fun time watching it, which is why I kind of binged the whole thing. Accidentally. Accidentally binged the whole thing.
Oh, there you go. All right. Anything else that we need to talk about television before we move on?
No, because we can move on.
We can move on. Let's talk about cancellations and renewals first thing.
All right, what am I no longer watching?
FX is bringing back Better Things for a 5th season, but it will be its last. So pour one out for Better Things.
Well, that's because it's off to Better Things.
Right. Netflix has canceled Dash and Lily after 1 season. Sorry, Dash and
Lily. One of the rare shows to get the 1 season acts.
I feel like that is based on a book series. Christy told me that she was excited to watch it, and it's already gone. Wow, there you go. Apple TV Plus is bringing back Foundation for a 2nd season. And Netflix is bringing back You for a 4th season. My 2 favorite names for television series of the last 5 years, U and C. It's just very funny to me. U and C. I want it back to back with U and C, except they're on 2 different networks.
John Cena can't watch those shows because you can't see.
Boom, there it is. Stars is bringing back Blind Spotting for a 2nd season. Prime Video is bringing back Jack Ryan for a 4th.
Not sure if that will be Michael B. Jordan, Jack Ryan.
No, it's the other guy, right?
No, that's Without Remorse.
Oh,
Michael B. Jordan's without remorse, I think. Jack Ryan is
what's his face? Yeah, the dude. Anyway,
yeah, I know you're yelling at me right now. It's the guy from The Office.
Some of these don't. Quiet Place, dude.
Yes.
What's his name? Whatever. Who cares? Let's move on into a few deaths here. We have to talk about. First up, Ruthie Thompson, age. Get this, 111.
That's not a typo.
No, was an American animator. Worked on Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Dumbo for Disney.
Well, I stayed at Disney.
There. So wow, what a career, what an age. Definitely quite an accomplishment. Next up, Bob Heron, age 97, almost as old. American stuntman, did stunts in Spartacus, Diamonds Are Forever, and Rocky, among others.
A couple of classics there.
And then lastly, while we're on the subject of children's authors, Gary Paulson, age 82, died. American novelist, most famous for the book Hatchet. Also wrote books including Dog Song and The River.
I believe every kid in like fourth grade had to read Hatchet. Yeah. I think The River is the sequel to the Hatchet, I believe.
You're right. I don't think I read that.
I did, because I absolutely loved the Hatchet.
I remember liking Hatchet when I was a kid.
I also remember from school that they hyped up the Hatchet, that it had one scene, so we're all going to be adults about it.
Yes.
And it's just a kid jumping off a rocket to a river.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
All right.
But because school's gotta be careful. PG, but there is partial nudity.
Yeah, the waiver. You have to get your parents' side to make sure you can see the PG movie. All right, let's flip the script over here and hand it to you and talk about some music. Why don't we?
And we always start music with the Billboard, and we start the Billboard with the Hot 100. Yeah. And your hottest song is still Stay by The Kid, Leroy, and Justin Bieber.
Well, we say still, but really it was down a week after BTS and Coldplay last week. It was back at number 1.
Well, right, because BTS and Coldplay are no longer in the top 5.
Kicked out.
Because Coldplay.
Yeah.
At number 2, Industry Baby by Lil Nas X and Jack Harlow. At 3, Applebee's.
Applebee's the ad.
The ad, Fancy Like by Walker Hayes.
Yeah, moving up this week.
People love their Applebee's.
Gunning for that number 1 spot.
At number 4, Way Too Sexy by Drake featuring Future and Young Thug.
Yeah.
And rounding out your top 5, back in the top 5, Bad Habits by Ed Sheeran.
So everything else pushed out Coldplay and BTS.
Yep.
No surprises here. But where there is a surprise.
Everything back the way it should be. Except in the Billboard 200.
Ooh, okay.
Your albums chart. Okay. So Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Did not put out a new album.
No, she didn't.
But
you know where this number 1 record this week, where it was last week?
30s? 60s?
157 on the Billboard 200.
So it jumped from 157 to
all the way to number 1, thanks to vinyl and CD sales, because the transactions finally went through.
Oh, they all went through at once?
Apparently. That's what I read, is that this is physical sales.
Okay.
Catapulted it to number 1.
So Fearless, Taylor's version, is your number 1 album this week.
Note that we are a month away, give or take, from Red, Taylor's version.
Yes. At 2, Certified Lover Boy, or CLB, by Drake. At 3, Expensive Pain by Meek Mill, and that was your new drop last week.
That's your new one.
At 4, Sincerely, Cantrell by Young Boy, Never Broke Again. And rounding out your top 5, Montero, Not Call Me By Your Name, by Lil Nas X.
So yeah, besides Fearless, pretty self-explanatory this week.
Mm-hmm. But if you didn't like any of those albums, we have new releases.
And these new releases, as we mentioned at the top of the show, are things that are already out, because these will be the releases that came out the Friday before we record, which was yesterday if you're watching this live.
Yes. So these are albums you can watch you can listen to right now. Including Music of the Spheres by Coldplay.
This is the one that BTS collab shows up on.
Yep. Optimist by Phineas.
Phineas of Billie Eilish fame.
Right, and not of Ferb fame.
Yes, Phineas.
Fever Dream, Part 1 by Johnny Marr. Zorked by Julia Shapiro.
Real quick, I listened to this. It's good.
Okay. Blessings and Miracles by Santana.
Yes, that's Santana.
Yes, that's Santana. Motorheart by The Darkness.
Yes, The Darkness. Leaving a thing called love.
Yes. And lastly, Punk by Young Thug.
Yeah. So something for everybody this week.
Let's get into some music news, shall we? And we're talking about the Grammys.
Yeah, some snubs.
Well, Grammy nominations are went out. Preliminary
Grammys. First round of voting is happening now.
Yes.
So we'll see, I believe early November will be the nomination.
The first nomination count.
But we're already starting to hear about what's not going to be nominated.
Yes. And Media Boat favorite Casey Musgraves, her latest album Star-Crossed, has been ruled ineligible to compete for the country category this year.
Yes.
According to a letter written by the Recording Academy by her record company president.
Letter written to the Recording
Yes.
Academy by Casey's record company president.
Yes. Who is vehemently protesting the decision.
Yeah.
Musgraves was widely expected to contend as a country artist again, as she did in her past albums, especially the Grammy Award-winning album Golden Hour.
Mm-hmm.
But a letter from Universal Music Group Nashville president Cindy Mabe to the Recording Academy president and CEO Harvey Mason Jr. makes it clear, or dated last Monday, makes it clear that the committee making decisions about country nominees has rejected Star-Crossed, has not sufficiently country enough to contend there. Presumably kicking the album out over the pop category.
Real quick, before we get to the second half of the story.
Yes.
I just want to say, I am of two minds about this. I think that this was predictable if you've listened to the record. This is not too dissimilar to what happened to Taylor Swift when 1989 came out.
Yep.
This had a similar kind of conversation where I believe Big Machine at the time was trying to get it to contend in country as well.
Yeah.
And the Academy was like, hell no. This is the same thing. Although, if you compare the two records, this is not nearly as pop as 1989 is. It's not nearly as much of a left turn. It's more akin to what she did with Red, if anything.
Right, but this is them learning from their mistake from Red and getting ahead of it. Which, when we talked about Star-Crossed, the first thing I said about it was there ain't no country in this thing.
So it's interesting, though, because I feel like the singles, though, that she's picked for this record are the most country things that are on this record.
Justified?
I think Justified and Star-Crossed could totally play on country radio. But are they? No, because they're not being promoted for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I get what the Academy is going for here. I get why they're trying to say, like, well, Casey, it's not country enough. But I also could understand why the label is saying, like, are you sure?
Which is why her next album will be titled Just Country Enough.
Honestly, maybe at this point, who knows? Though I think that from the label's perspective, it's probably easier to win a Grammy in a country category than this will have against the pop records in this category, because it will get obliterated by some other pop acts.
Yes.
So I get why they'd want this, but I still think that this is an easy shoe-in for a nomination for Album of the Year. Regardless.
I mean, you'd like to think that, right?
I would like to think that, but we're getting close to seeing where this goes, and it's going to be a tough fight this year. It's going to be tough.
That'll be tough. Speaking of tough fights, the second head-turning Grammy ineligibility decision came from the comedy section, or lack of comedy section, as Bo Burnham's Inside the Songs has been nixed as a contender in the comedy album for the 2022 Grammys.
Yeah.
The album will still be put in the preliminary voting ballots for the Academy members, but in the category of Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media instead of Comedy Album. The album is, of course, made up of musical material which appeared in Bo Burnham's hit Netflix special, Inside. I'm sorry. Yeah. That is the Emmy award-winning special, Inside.
As someone who watched Inside, how do you feel about this decision? Do you think it fits more in soundtrack, or do you think this should have vied for comedy album?
Well, the album itself is specifically the songs on the Inside, but I think order of operations kind of is where they're going here, because the special came out first and then the album, and specifically the songs about it. I haven't listened to the songs version, but if it's just the recording of the special in audio format, I think they can make a case there.
So
because there is a lot of jokes.
Yeah. I think that argument makes sense, but at the same time, if Weird Al wins this category all the time, and that's just songs as well, I don't see the argument there.
Well, the argument is that he didn't have a visual media to go with it.
I guess. So if Weird Al does a Lemonade-style YouTube thing to go aside next to release, then maybe.
Yes. Because it's part of a Netflix special.
I guess I could see why this is controversial. I see why people that are fans of Burnham are unhappy here, but it makes sense when you think about
it. It's still the best thing on Netflix I've watched in a while.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
Yes, I'm specifically targeting you, Bridgerton and The Circle.
Wow, shots fired. All right, let's move on to the biggest music story of the week.
Yes. Although she will not be competing in the 2022 Grammys, her upcoming album can we call it right now? I'm putting my
2023 album of the year.
2023 album of the year.
We'll see. We'll see about that. Kendrick Lamar also has a record coming out. Remember that.
Yeah. But it ain't no Adele. Because the singer, yes, that Adele, announced in a lengthy Instagram post that her long-awaited 30 album, even though she's over 30.
Doesn't matter. So when she started recording these.
Yes, when she started recording, when she started writing them. Will be released November 19th. Hey, that date sounds familiar.
Yes, turns out that rumor about Taylor moving Red Taylor's version up a week may actually be legit.
Yes, because as we talked about it,
I should say because of Adele.
Yeah. We mentioned that it was moving up a week because Adele was most likely going to drop an album that week.
They probably talked to each other and made that happen. So there you go.
Yep. Well, the album finds Adele working again with Greg Kurstin, who famously paired well with her on 25. Her album 25, her Grammy Award-winning album 25.
Right.
And Max Martin, who is basically everywhere at this point. Inflow, which is known for his work with Salt, and Swedish composer and producer Ludwig Göransson,
who, if that name sounds familiar,
won the Academy Award for Black Panther.
Yes, that guy.
Yep, and worked closely with Childish Gambino.
Oh, Media Vote favorite?
Don Glover.
Donald Glover?
That's what I said. Don Glover. Yeah. Well, there's no featured guests on the record.
Just Adele.
It's just Adele. And the first single, Easy on Me, has already dropped.
So I didn't listen to this. I almost did last night. Have you heard this yet?
Oh, I listened to it.
All right. How's it? How's it rate?
Adele.
How's this rate on the Pantheon? So where is this line?
It ain't no Fire to the Rain.
Is this Rolling in the Deep?
It's very, I'm going to say Rolling in the Deep as it being the first song off an album.
I like Rolling in the Deep. I think it's my favorite Adele song. So that's good.
Yeah, but it's no Fire to the Rain.
Or Hello.
Or Hello, yeah. Or Skyfall.
Well,
I like Skyfall. Hey, she's got the hits.
She's got the hits.
So, yeah.
There'll be more hits coming.
Yep. All Easy on Me is more of, I guess we can translate this right into a quick thought on Easy on Me.
Yeah.
It's basically her telling the press and telling the audience as she has recently come under controversy, or not controversy, but been in tabloids about her current appearance. It's her telling everyone, hey, take it easy on me. I'm just a woman.
Yeah, just a person.
I'm just a person.
I'm extremely rich, but whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just, every artist gets to that point at some point. It's the Michael Jackson Man in the Mirror. It's every artist gets to that point where it's like, all right, I got to write the song about man, it's hard being me.
Wait, was it her who had the Caribbean look?
Yes,
Carnival look.
She had that controversy.
Yeah, so I think this might be the response to that. Yeah. Easy on me.
We have a couple of quick bits that I knew that if I omitted, you'd be like, why didn't we talk about this?
Well,
so let's
the
talk
first
about
one
it.
Being Coachella reversing its vaccination policy.
So that means that they will no longer be requiring vaccination on the show. I think this is a bad decision.
It is definitely a bad decision.
But
that is, of course, probably Coachella and Stagecoach, more so for Stagecoach.
Probably Stagecoach. Does this make you guys rethink your approach to Stagecoach at all?
No, because we'll all have booster shots by then.
Well, good luck is what I'll say. Good luck.
Yep. But the second story, and the one I thought we were probably one weirder, and I thought we were going to lead with.
Honestly, it's not that big of a deal compared to the other two.
Oh, yeah.
But we should mention it.
Yes. Smash Mouth singer. Yes.
That guy.
That Smash Mouth singer. And yes, Smash Mouth was still around and performing. Was around and performing. As the lead singer officially retired after embarrassing public appearance.
So I guess somebody took video of a performance in New York that was for a company party in which the lead singer, whose name was escaping me, I don't remember his name, appeared very drunk and belligerent and said some shit that was real bad. And so people were very quick to be like, what's wrong with this dude? He's giving like something that appears to be a Nazi salute. Is threatening people.
Yep,
Steve Harwell. Thank you. Steve Harwell announced shortly after that he is retiring. Smash Mouth will not break up. It's just a matter of if they do choose to continue performing, they will need a new singer. So the search begins for the next Smash Mouth guy.
Well, they're going to do a reality TV competition about it, right?
Yeah, they got to, right?
Yeah, and you know what's going to be titled, right?
All right, what?
Hey now. You're an all-star.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or just all-star.
Yeah, you're an
all-star. The search for the next Smash Mouth singer.
Hey, Guy Fieri, guy who looks like you just left the Smash Mouth. Do you want this gig too? Anyway, got him on speed dial. Is that impressive? All right, that's it for news.
That's it for news. One album thought that I listened to that didn't have on here, but appeared last week.
Okay.
Time, Tequila, and Therapy. 3 very beautiful T sounding names.
Yeah.
Aside from, like actual T and golf T's and girls who begin with the letter T.
What are you talking about? Anyway, you listen to this record by Old Dominion.
Yes, Old Dominion. Because they got nothing but Time, Tequila, and Therapy.
Hey, same. Actually, minus the tequila. So we're close. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Funny enough, I'm also a 2 out of 3.
You at home get to figure that out. All right. Well, what do you think about this Old Dominion record? You like Old Dominion? Right?
I like Old Dominion. It sounds like Old Dominion. I like Old Dominion's last record.
Yeah.
I also liked when they did which was their self-titled record, Old Dominion.
As their name implies, it's classical country sounds.
It is very classical country music. I also like their previous humorous album, the Cat Mix album.
Oh, those guys. Okay.
Yes, the Cat Mix album.
The Cat Guys.
Yes.
I remember this.
Yes.
In fact, we were still doing news stories for the show. I got that. The picture was them with a bunch of cats.
Yes. It's very country. It's very harkened back to old country. And then there's a song called Hawaii on there.
Oh, all right.
And it's talking about wanting to go back to Hawaii.
And you were just there.
Because I was just there. So this whole album basically spoke to me on another level.
There you go.
Not just because it's called Time, Tequila, Therapy, but also because I like Old Dominion.
Yeah, sure.
All right. It's a good country album.
Cool.
Old Dominion knows what they're doing here.
You know what?
It's like their 5th album, I think. 5th or 6th album.
I think I could use a good country album. I'm going to take listen to this.
Yes.
That time of year.
Also, the reason I bring up the song Hawaii is because if there's a movie out there that's going to feature Hawaii, I expect this song to be on there. It is a pop song. It is a love song to Hawaii.
That's fine.
It's a love letter of wanting to go back to Hawaii, back to vacation, back to island time. That is a fun song. That has to be the one song.
Probably a pretty universal feeling at this point after a year of staying inside because of a pandemic. I would imagine a lot of people want to go to Hawaii.
Not only
Hawaii doesn't want you though.
I mean, I'm about to get like super inner circle here, but like when I told people I was going to Hawaii, I was like, "Oh, we were just there.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going." Or hey,
it was funny.
On that.
There was
yeah,
3 in a row for me. It was I had a coworker that went. Then you guys went, and then I had another friend, another couple that I know that went right after. So 3 in a row, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. It was very funny to me. So
yeah, then like I had friends and coworkers who went to Hawaii, and then my wife had friends and coworkers who went to Hawaii as well. It's like, oh,
if you can afford it, it's a fun vacation destination. But I don't want to sound like we're super rich. We're coming off as very hoity-toity right now. It's like, oh, we went to Hawaii and our friends went to Hawaii. We have a timeshare out there. It's very anyway.
Yes,
sorry.
It's very much where my time in tequila went.
And yeah, you're gonna need that therapy.
Yes,
start thinking about it.
Our wallet needs a therapy lesson now.
I bet. All right.
But yeah, I like this album. I liked Old Dominion.
They call them, right? Therapy lessons.
Yes.
Anyway,
cool. Yeah. I like this album. It's a good album. Right. I may talk about it more.
Cool.
Come end of the year, but then again, at this point, Old Dominion can be chalked up to like one of my favorite country artists.
Awesome, great. All right, let's move on. Next section.
Let's move on to video games. Did you listen to anything? Like I said, you listened to that new record?
The Julia Shapiro record's good. If you like her band, Chastity Belt, yes, her band is called Chastity Belt. Then it's very similar to that. It's their second solo record.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty good. All right, let's move on.
I am waiting for.
You do not have time to do fandom stuff.
No. I know. I'm looking for the DC fandom. No, there's a new album coming out soon. Not by Old Dominion.
Obviously not.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Yeah, it's not working right now.
I thought it was coming out this week. It still says TBD. It's supposed to come out next week, the full album, but I felt like the full album was like previously just released. It kind of we'll talk about it next week.
We'll talk about it next week.
Because I didn't see it officially released, so that's why.
But for now,
video games. And we start with new releases.
All right.
We start with The Rift Breaker for PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. It's hockey season as we talked about, NHL dropped puck already, which means you must drop some cash on NHL 2022 for the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X.
Yes.
For those of you fans of Demon Slayer, the game, Demon Slayer.
All right, look forward to your pronunciation here.
Kimetsu no Yaiba - the Hikamani Chronicles.
Hinokami.
Yes, the Economy.
The economy.
Yes, the Economy Chronicles.
In this economy?
For the PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, PC.
Yes, the original
Xbox One. We also have Crisis Remastered Trilogy for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. If you've not played the Crisis,
all of them.
You can now play them all together. Get that super-powered human ability.
All
of them. For those of you back in the olden days, the Caligula Effect 2 for the PS4 and the Switch. That is a game you can pick up if you're on older consoles, I guess. Into the Pit for Xbox One and PC. Tandem, A Tale of Shadows.
Tandem.
For the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC.
We talked about the Tandem on this podcast before?
No.
Growing up, there was an ice cream treat that they sold in the grocery store called a Tandem. And what it was an ice cream sandwich on one side and a chocolate-covered ice cream on the other side. It was one thing. So you could start with either side. It was called the Tandem. Yep. Anyway, sorry. Every time I hear the word Tandem, I think about the Tandem.
Okay. So I think about the bicycles.
Oh, yeah, Tandem bikes.
Yep.
Sorry.
We also have the Dark Pictures Anthology.
Yes.
House of Ashes.
This is the third of these Dark Pictures Anthology. Choose Your Own Adventures. These are the Until Dawn people.
Okay. For the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PC.
You really liked Until Dawn. I'm surprised you haven't given these a shot.
No. I mean, yes. Yes, I like Until Dawn, but yeah, I'm not giving these a shot. Right. And lastly, Kate, Collateral Damage for the PC.
Which I understand is a roguelike based on the Netflix film Kate.
Yes. All right, let's get into some video game news.
Yes, let's get through this news because I really, really, really need to talk about a video game.
Yes, we're going to do this real quick.
Yes.
First up, Twitch. So, a massive 125 gigabit torrent link was posted on 4chan last Wednesday containing data from Twitch.tv.
Yeah. In fact, all of it.
Yes.
The joke going around the internet is like, oh yeah, Twitch leaked. Like, oh, what part? No, Twitch. Like all of it.
Yes, all 125 gigabits of it. Including payment reports, system updates, and what appears to be a Steam competitor called Vapor.
Oh, Amazon's been working on in secret.
Twitch quickly became aware of the leak and reset users' stream keys
I
immediately.
got an email.
I got
Yeah, we all got emails.
Yep. When I logged in, I was like, "Hey, you need to reset your keys."
Yeah.
But, okay, but I don't stream that often. But okay.
I was actually gonna say last week. I was gonna say when I saw this was happening, I almost texted you and was like, "Hey, don't try to stream any video games this week. You're not gonna be able to." Like you have to give it a couple days.
Yep. Well, payment reports revealed that only 81 streamers have been paid more than $1 million, with the vast majority of users far below that amount.
Yeah, this was the biggest takeaway of the leak. It seemed like people were seeing these numbers in stark contrast to what I think the narrative has been. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of people, especially younger people, who are like, oh, all I have to do is stream and I can become a millionaire overnight. I get these giant deals and like everything works. Well, the real truth, and what we probably all really knew in our heart of hearts, is that no, it's only the top of the top streamers. It's only your ninjas that end up with your 7 million.
Not even 100 streamers.
No.
Which means if you want to be one of those remaining 19.
Yeah, you try, but yeah, basically, it's not a get rich quick scheme. No. It's never going to be. It's just that it's never going to be an instant solution to being a millionaire. Things have to really come together for you in order for you to be extremely successful on Twitch. But hey, you probably knew that really. But
I mean, I really use Twitch to play games with other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I realized I should put that in there. Add to the notes here.
But yeah, still kind of scary. One important note though for end users, thankfully, Amazon said after this is that they do not believe that login information or payment information, credit card and numbers, etc., have been leaked here. You should be okay, they said. That you are not at risk if you're just a
right.
user.
It's just payment reports.
It was just payment payouts for Twitch partners.
Yes. So unless you're a Twitch partner,
yeah. Which chances are, if you're watching this, you're probably not. I don't know how close is Alex. Is she getting there?
I think she got there for like a year.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. She didn't hit her goal yet for her birthday, and like she's not inconsistent.
We should say shout out to Alex. She was in the on the front page briefly on Monday, thanks to the Indigenous stream that Twitch was doing. So congratulations to her and the rest of the streamers that participated in that event.
Yep, I logged in on that for her. Give her a couple views for an hour or two.
Very cool.
Yep.
Anyways,
the big news. Or one of the biggest news this past week.
It's dropped yesterday, so another benefit of us doing a Saturday show.
Animal Crossing was teased at the end of the Nintendo Direct at the start of October that, hey, it will be having its own Direct later.
Yeah.
Well, later came, and we got the announcement of both free and paid DLC content coming to Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yes.
Next month. So soon. Next month. The free update will include The Roost, which is the coffee shop run by Brewster. See what they did there?
Yeah, you may remember him from if you played the 3DS game. What was that called? New Leaf. New Leaf. Brewster was in that game.
Yep. As well as Captain's Boat Tours.
Also an element from New Leaf.
Yep. A new Harv's Island.
So yeah, if you thought Harv's Island there wasn't a whole lot to do in there, now there'll be more.
Yep. As well as cooking, new hairstyles, gyroids, and new interactions with neighbors.
Yes.
This will also be the final update to the game.
Yeah. Yes.
Update 2.0.
Which is a whole can of worms that we don't have time to open. The short version is Nintendo still doesn't understand what a live game is. And for some reason just feels like, oh, a year? Yeah, a year plus? Okay, that's it. We're done.
To be fair, Smash Brothers got 3 years to get all their
I know.
fighters.
So that's why people were holding out hope for Animal Crossing to be supported a little longer at least. But hey, it's Nintendo.
Well, that's all the free stuff that you get automatically with the upcoming update.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to expand your horizons and shout out a couple more shells or bells.
Shells or bells.
There's paid DLC called Happy Home Paradise, which allows you to maintain an island resort where you can customize visitors' homes as well as build other establishments like stores and classrooms.
If this sounds familiar, it's because a lot of this gameplay comes from the 3DS game Happy Home Designer, which was a spinoff of Animal Crossing New Leaf that contained a lot of these same kind of things. So you're maintaining a resort and helping out the people who are visiting the resort.
There's also new and exclusive furniture that can be found only in the DLC.
You can bring back to your main island.
Yep. The pack will be available when it launches on November the 5th. Remember that date. For $25.
Yes.
But you can also get it with a purchase of the Nintendo Online Expansion Pack.
Right.
And this is the more interesting story here.
Interesting is a word for it.
Because for the Nintendo Online Expansion Pack, you can get it either individually for $50
a year.
And it's only for a year. Or part of a family account for $80 up to 8 users.
Yeah.
The expansion pack officially launches on October 25th alongside the Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis console.
All right. Okay.
Or collections, the controllers as well.
There's 2 things about this story. One thing is, I do want to apologize for, I think, defending the pricing when this was originally hinted at the Nintendo Direct. I defended the idea of doing a more expensive pricing tier because in my mind, I thought this was surely going to be like maybe $5, $10 more. I did not anticipate $30 more.
Well, you do get all the Genesis games, the 64 games, and if you have it, the Animal Crossing deals.
So if you keep in mind, if you're an Animal Crossing New Horizons player, and you keep in mind that it would be $25, you're really only paying $5 more. But if you don't have Animal Crossing,
you're paying $15 more.
Sure, yeah, whatever the math is, math. But if you're not an Animal Crossing New Horizons player, this is a lot of money for Nintendo 64 and Genesis games.
I know, it's $25 more.
It's
25 to 50. Yeah,
it's a lot more money. And so, really, I don't know if it's worth it. And so I get why people on the internet right now are saying that this is an exorbitant price. There is an argument to be made that Sony and Microsoft, their annual fees for their subscriptions, whether it be Game Pass Ultimate or for PlayStation Plus, is about this price as well.
Right, but
$60.
Now, the expansion pack for $50 per person does include the Nintendo Online subscription, though.
Yes.
It's bundled into it.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think this is going to...
Well, you're already paying $20 for the online.
Yeah. So this is going to be predicated... Your interest in this is going to be predicated on how interested you are in playing these N64 or Genesis games. And also if you have New Horizons. Because if you don't have New Horizons... That really makes this a steep price.
Right. I think that's where your extra where you said $5 comes in, because you're already paying $20 for the online. Right. If you're going to buy the DLC for Animal Crossing, which is $25, that puts it up to $45.
Right.
Might as well pay the extra $5 to make it $50 and get you access to the Nintendo 64 and Genesis games.
Yeah, it's steep. I did see real quick, the last thing I'll say about the story is I did see a headline earlier this morning that was suggesting that the reason for the steep price seems to be on Sega's part. Seems like licensing fees for the Genesis games were higher than they were expecting them to be, because Sega apparently felt like they got screwed over on royalties for the virtual console stuff on the Wii and Wii U. And so if they were going to make a deal with Nintendo again, they wanted more money, is what it sounds like. So Nintendo pushed that to the consumers to make that money back, is what it sounds like.
Oh, no. A corporation pushing stuff onto the consumers?
Yeah, never. You need to see it.
That's groundbreaking news.
So, yeah, I don't know. The Animal Crossing stuff, I'm glad that most of the cool stuff is the free stuff.
Yes.
Because otherwise, I think you'd see a lot more people angry at the price of this stuff.
Yep.
So there we go.
All right. Let's talk about some games.
All right. Let's talk about the stuff you've played because I really am going to try really hard not to go long on the thing.
Oh, I'm going to go real quick so you can go long.
Okay, because, I know we're running out of time here. So
yeah. All right. So first up, speaking of the Nintendo Direct.
And downloadable content.
Mario Golf Super Rush DLC, the 3 new courses as well as the 3 new playable players, was unleashed as a free content update.
How's that Koopa Troopa?
I like it.
Yeah,
I like the characters. It kind of it's like that expands the roster. I don't really like the new courses. They don't play like actual golf course. It plays more like the arena battles, where it's encompassing and you're constantly crossing over the different courses, which it makes it fun because you can like go different ways to get to your ball and like how to get there. But at the same time, it does make it not feel like golf. And I mean, that is kind of like the appeal that they had here with the Super Rush is that don't want to play solo, you want to play with friends, and you're all taking your different routes to get there.
It's more interesting.
Makes it more fun and more combative. But from a single player standpoint, you're just keep crossing over. Like you go this way, and you go over this and come this way. It's like
it almost feels like it was designed so heavily for multiplayer that it seems like an afterthought for single.
It does. Yeah. That anything can be single player. We want to focus on the multiplayer.
Yeah.
So
all right.
DLC didn't quite impress.
Maybe not worth it.
Maybe not worth it. Super Mario Golf may not be worth it.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what people kind of settled on for that.
Yep. Also released specifically for the PC version in like as of like yesterday, it dropped. Like there was it leaked on Wednesday. It's like pre-release, like officially available Thursday and Friday for PC and Steam users. That is, it's that time of year again.
Yes.
Jackbox Party Pack 8.
All right. So what are we getting this time?
We are getting not one, but 2 different drawing games.
Oh.
We get the animated version of Drawful.
Oh, cool.
So you can create GIFs of your little animations.
That's fun.
As well as what's the new drawing one? Like drawing fighting game.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
That one's cool.
That one's fun. I haven't played that one yet.
Yeah, I've never played it, but I've seen video of it.
Yeah, I've seen videos.
Looks really fun.
Yep. There's also Job, which is one of my favorites.
All right.
You're given a prompt and you write 60, like I think it's 120 characters worth of text, up to 120, like answering the response.
Oh.
So everyone answers this like their own responses. It all gets thrown in the shredder, and you're given different words from people's responses.
All right.
And so you have to use those words to create a response to the prompt.
That's fun.
Which is hilarious.
That sounds great. I love it.
Because and then you get points for not only people using your words, but if people vote on your response.
Okay. All right.
And then community voting, whoever has the most points wins.
That's fun.
Let's see here. Then there's also Poll Mine, which is a group. You kind of need a microphone for this one, or at least a way to talk to people, because you're given categories and prompts of put these in order, or not these in order. Like choose your top 3 of these 5 items, and in order to escape the mine, you have to choose the poll answers of the most popular answers to get out of the mine.
I see.
And get torches as lives in order to get out.
That's fun.
It's fun because it's like, it's a little bit of guespionage.
Right, it reminds me of guespionage.
But you're also like taking the poll of not everybody, but just the players playing the game.
Right.
So you want to like know what you put as your answer. But you also kind of like figure out what other people put as well to figure out the top answers.
Cool. That sounds fun.
Yeah, that one is super fun.
All right.
And lastly, the Wheel of Enormous Proportions.
Enormous proportions.
It's the trivia game. But it's also Mario Party-esque, where the wheel can randomly do different things.
No.
Give people random points, have players swap points, take points away from people. It is chaos in the wheel. So even if you do good at the trivia, it's Mario Party rules in the wheels.
This one might be a good one. This might be a good Jackbox.
This sounds like a good Jackbox. This is a good one. If you're looking to pick up a good new Jackbox game, the rule applies. Every other Jackbox game, this one is it.
And the good news is that it's 2021 and people can come over to houses again. So we might actually be able to play some Jackbox.
Yep. But yeah, Jackbox 8 is currently available on PC.
All right.
I believe that the console versions will be available next month. But this is the good one. This is the good Jackbox to get.
All right, we might have to have a Jackbox day.
We might have to have
a Jackbox day sometime.
Yes. It did make me look into reactivating my Steam account just to get all the Jackboxes.
Yeah, just wait until it's on PS5. Yes. It's fine there. All right.
And lastly, the game we keep pushing off for 3 weeks.
Trust me, we will have its big expose and give us 2 more weeks, I think.
Yes, Deathloop.
Yes. You played this.
The Bethesda game. It is a very Bethesda game.
Yeah, it's very similar to Dishonored and Prey.
Yep. There's a lot of different ways to do stuff, and the overwhelming amount of options both kind of intrigues me and terrifies me in actually completing the game.
As a perfectionist and completionist as you are.
Yes. There is no single narrative unless you talk to everybody and gather a lot of information. And gathering all that information is a lot. Now, I have seen a speedrun playthrough of 20 minutes of this thing.
Whoa. That's impressive.
Like,
20 minutes.
People know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But then again, you also have to play the game for like 200 hours to know exactly what to do.
Because, my understanding is that there are certain things that you cannot do from the start because you just don't know.
Right.
That you find out as the story progresses.
Right. There's also certain perks and abilities that you get throughout the game, to which that part of me is like, oh, I need to go around and collect everything.
Yeah.
But then also the part of me is, oh, I shouldn't go around collecting everything because everyone is around everywhere. And So we'll talk more about it.
I'm going to play. I have a copy that's just sitting around right now.
I want to try and beat it as much as I can, but there are some games coming up. I know next month that I'm going to want to play more than this. So this one, as good as the concept is, and I was excited for this game, it may end up being dropped in the coming weeks.
Also, you're a couple of days away from Sora, so that's going to take up some of your time.
Yes. Which I've also been playing that and
getting ready,
warming up, unlocking all the characters, so that way when he comes, it's like, hey, here's everyone you can beat up now, not just the starting 6.
Good to know. All right.
Okay.
Now it's time.
I'm giving you 20 minutes.
I mean, I probably won't do that much even.
Oh, you probably need more time, right?
I wish I could, but I know that I don't need to talk about this very much because we are running out of time and you need to get ready. So what I will say is I think I've played what might be my favorite game I've played in about a decade.
Whoa.
I know, that's big statement, but
bigger than Tetris Effect.
I think I might like it more than Tetris Effect. Tetris Effect is a great video game, don't get me wrong, but this game, it gives me feelings that I haven't played, like I gotten from a video game in a very, very long time. It's given me like hours eating away into my sleep like a video game hasn't done in a very, very long time. It's reminded me of playing like Game Boy Advance games in my bed, like as a teenager. It's like that kind of vibes. I'm talking about Metroid Dread, the new Metroid game for the Switch. It is the sequel to Metroid Fusion, which came out, get this, in 2002 on the Game Boy Advance. So it's a 19 years gap between the two games.
And if so this came out in 2002?
Yes, 2002.
Put that to perspective. An entire Kingdom Hearts trilogy came out between those games.
Those two games. So if you've played Metroid Fusion or Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo, you more or less know what to expect here. Also, if you played any Metroidvania-style indie game released since the release of Metroid Fusion, which there have been countless, Hollow Knight, like there's an entire cottage industry of these games that have been existed almost 2 decades since.
Right, but that they all owe their success
owe their pattern to specifically Super Metroid, but the Metroid series in general. That's why they're called Metroidvanias. Combined with Castlevania. But mostly Metroid, let's be real. And yeah, I'm happy to report that if you liked those games, and I did, this is just like that. It's almost as if somebody gave somebody in 2004, say, the Switch technology and gave it to Nintendo and was like, make a Metroid game, and they did. It's so weird. It feels like it came out of space and time. But at the same time, it also doesn't feel old. It feels modern, like a Switch game should. It is the most refined combination of the completely open-endedness of Super Metroid and the more linear narrative-based structure of Metroid Fusion. When Fusion came out, it was kind of controversial at the time because it was basically taking the Super Metroid exploration and paring it down to a linear path. A lot of people who liked Super Metroid thought that was blasphemy. They were like, oh, well, the whole point why this is such a great game is because you can explore so much. I almost dropped your headphones here. But over time, people have grown to respect what Fusion was doing because at the end of Fusion, it does kind of let you go and do whatever. But the more focused narrative actually made it feel more cinematic and made it feel more like structured, especially for a portable game on a portable system. Dread cuts the difference between those two. It feels more open than Fusion. You don't get specific zones that you have to go to. You get more suggestions from the computer AI that's guiding you about where to go. But at the same time, it's a little bit more linear in structure. You never feel like you're completely off base of where you need to go. Not to say you won't get lost. I have gotten lost a handful of times in this game. I've had to, for the first time in years, I've had to consult walkthroughs. It felt like I was in 2000, like I said, in 2004, all of a sudden. I felt I was going to game FAQs and be like, what's the pattern for this boss? Or where's the teleport to this other world? It felt like such an old school game experience for me that it just flashed me back to being 14. It was such a weird feeling. And it's just continued as I played through it. One thing about this game, it is incredibly hard.
Ooh.
And that's gonna be a problem for, I think, a lot of people who are going into this, especially if it's their first Metroid. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of people are gonna look at the difficulty and be like, holy, I can't beat this boss. It's the first boss. Why is this so hard? So it's going to be a trial and error situation. You know me. I'm not usually someone who likes that kind of game. It's the reason why I've never gone into the Dark Souls games, because I don't really like the idea of trial and error.
It's why we both bounced off of Eternal.
But the weird thing is that the game is actually, it's hard, but it's fairly forgiving with the recovery. You're usually put right outside of a boss room or right outside of one of the Emmy mazes, which I'll talk about in a moment. So it doesn't feel like there's a lot of space between you and trying again. And that is key.
Okay.
It makes it easy enough to try again that you feel like you can do it. Like a common repeat for me was like, oh, getting so frustrated at this stupid boss. I can't beat it. But I would always be like, all right, no, I know the pattern. I feel like I can do it. I'm going to jump right back in. And I would get it. Sometimes it would take 8 to 10 times, but I would get it. Okay. And it feels so good. The reward on the other side of that win, when you finally beat that boss, felt like it was like, all right, I can do it. I told myself I could do it. I did it. It's this feel of climbing the mountain and getting to the top. That's just an incredible feeling. And the game rewards you for it. Because the thing about Metroid games is that you always feel like there's some sort of carrot on the other side of that stick. You always feel like, okay, I'm literally 3 rooms away from another upgrade. I know I am. And you just get more and more and more powerful. And that is the reason why the Metroid series feels so good. It's the reason why Super Metroid is, to some people, the best video game of all time. Because you feel like you're constantly earning and getting more and more powerful and having more and more fun exploring the world. And Dread does that too. And it does that amazingly well. The one thing that I will say that maybe a lot of that people will have a problem with is the new mechanic, which are the Emmys. That's EMMI. They're these robots that are basically one-hit kills for Samus.
Ooh.
A lot of people are not going to like that. There is a very small parry window when you get caught by one of these guys. that you can execute, but the parry window is random every time you go in there. So there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to parry right away. And the parry is not a death thing for the Emmy. The Emmy still lives. It just means you can escape from it for like 5 seconds until it reactivates. The good thing about the Emmys is that it's not throughout the whole game. It's only at specific locations in each of the world maps. You know immediately when you're going into it because the door to the Emmy maze is different than the regular doors you're going through. So I think some people, they are trial and error in the way that some of the bosses are, where you have to basically either try to be stealthy or jump and be super agile to get away from the enemy. But the good news is that the game allows you to be really agile. It controls super smooth. There's a lot of cool moves that Samus can do. There's a new slide that she can do to slide under things. And it feels like she's good enough at traversing the environment that you never feel like you can't escape an enemy. But there's going to be times where you're going to have to feel out a maze in order to figure out the best path through it to avoid them.
Okay.
Overall, I think it's great. I think it's one of the best, like I said, one of the best games I've played in a very, very long time. I think fans of Metroid are going to especially love it. There's a lot of things that harken back to the original games and a lot of things that will make you be like, oh shit, I remember this from Fusion, or I remember this from Super Metroid. It's very cool that this is back. But I also think that it's new enough in what it does that I think new people who are coming to Nintendo games and Metroid games for the first time with the Switch, I think will also find stuff to love here. Especially if you're like Hollow Knight and the other Metroidvanias that have come out over the last 2 decades. I think it's a must-own if you're a Switch owner. I think it's amazing. I think that maybe some people will find the difficulty a little too much, but if you work through it, I think it's rewarding enough on the other side that it's a worthwhile experience. I wholeheartedly recommend it. I am almost over. I'm been told by the robot that I'm going to fight the final boss. Really? I just need to go through the rest of the game now that I'm fully kitted out, unlock all the missile tanks and energy tanks, and get fully ready for the final boss encounter.
So there has been, I saw on a review,
yes,
about pirating Metroid.
Yes, there are 2 controversies, yes, about this game since its release. One of them is what you're talking about. Some Switch emulators have gotten to the point where they can pretty much just play Dread in week 1 of release. Mm-hmm. In fact, can play it at 4K. Be that as it may, I don't think that makes it harder to argue for people playing it. It's kind of the argument I made last week when we were talking about Black Widow. Sure. I think you can't just assume that everybody who pirates Metroid Dread with a Switch emulator would not have bought Metroid Dread. I think that's an assumption that you're making.
Right.
So I don't really think that it's as much of a threat that maybe Nintendo thinks it is. So there's that controversy. There's also a controversy that came out about the developer of Metroid Dread, Mercury Steam, not giving credit to a lot of people who worked on the game, worked on art assets for the game. Apparently they had a regulation that only people who worked at least 25% of the project got credited in the credits. Well, not everybody's super happy about that. I agree with people that say that if you worked on the game in any capacity, you should be credited. Mercury Steam seems to disagree. So there's these kind of dual controversies.
It's a video game. It's not that hard to have like credits.
You wouldn't think.
As you can push.
You wouldn't think it would be, but hey, I don't know. But I think that the game is good enough to withstand those controversies. I do agree that people should be credited for their work on it, because they made an amazing thing, and I still recommend it. I still think that it's a must play and easily right now my game of the year, hands down.
So for someone who hasn't not played a Metroid game, one, you said it's kind of difficult. Is there a power scaling?
There are no difficulty options.
Okay.
It is literally the game is the game. There is a harder difficulty that you unlock after you beat it.
Of course,
but there is not an easier difficulty when you start. Maybe there'll be a patch if enough people complain about it. But honestly, the ramp is not super steep. There are spikes. It doesn't just
shoot you?
No, there are spikes in the boss encounters. I had a couple of boss encounters specifically that I had to play a whole lot to beat. But beyond those, the actual moment to moment, I think that there's enough of a ramp that you start figuring things out. But again, I'm coming from a perspective that I've played all the Metroid games.
All right. So fans of the Metroid games,
yeah,
you're super happy with it?
You have an advantage if you have knowledge about how Metroid games work.
Okay.
I would be really curious to hear from somebody who's completely coming in clean. So we'll see. Okay. But I like it.
All right. You like it? All right. You recommend it?
100% recommend.
Okay. So that's a buy it, play it?
I think so. Okay. But again, a little tiny your mileage may vary on the difficulty because of how hard it is. But
so if you're into those Metroidvania types of games,
yes, absolutely play
this game.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Real quick mobile update with World Flipper.
Yes, World Flipper.
I'm still playing it.
The Christmas thing is over, and I couldn't get an S+ on that last snowman.
No, neither could I. But I was able to get a bunch of stars. Like I backed out everything that they had in the event treasure trove that I could get.
Nice.
But I also went back and did all of the expert levels.
Nice. Yeah, I'm almost done with those.
I just completed all of those levels.
All the X's.
Yeah. All the X's. So yeah, now I'm just farming for upgrading everybody.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at too. Yep.
Those DM stars.
Just getting Sonya upgraded. Hello, Sonya.
And then like you said, Super Smash Brothers. Sora comes on Monday. Yeah, Monday the 18th. Yeah. So
exciting times.
Yeah, we'll have thoughts on that next week, as well as I believe Only Murders in the Building will have its finale as well. We'll have thoughts on that.
I just realized we didn't talk about Ted Lasso. Shit.
Oh, we'll talk about that
I guess we'll have to talk about that next week.
We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, this was supposed to be our big Ted Lasso episode. I'm glad we didn't because we would have gone long.
Oh, yeah, we're already at our 2 hours right
Next week we will talk about Ted Lasso. There's a lot to talk about there. But we need to wrap up.
Yep, so let's wrap it up.
All right, thank you for watching this episode of the Media Boat Podcast. We'll be back next week for another live streamed Saturday morning edition, as our new tradition will allow. If you want to watch us on YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/media or search Media Boat Podcast. It might be /media. I actually don't know. Media Boat Podcast, search that on YouTube, find our page, like, subscribe, and comment.
If you do like and subscribe, you'll get notified when we do go live.
It's true.
So you come in and chat with us.
Then if you want to listen to the audio version instead, we're available on audio podcast programs such as Apple Music and Apple Podcasts, I should say, and Amazon and iHeartRadio and Spotify and all those businesses. So check us out by searching Media Boat Podcast there. You can also find us on social media. On Twitter, we're at Media Boat Cast. On Facebook, search Media Boat Podcast for our page. Comment in there as well. If you have any questions, comments that you want us to hear, email us at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. And every once in a while, we'll be on twitch.tv playing video games once we reset our stream key.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week for another episode. We'll talk about Ted Lasso. I'll wrap up Metroid Dread when I finish it. Fingers crossed.
I'm going to put Ted Lasso in our notes right now so we don't forget.
Please do. And then, we'll be back next week for more.
Yep. More episodes, more thoughts, more news. We'll have finale on that Yahtzee strike.
We may know who's in the World Series. We'll see.
Yep. And the start of basketball on Tuesday.
Yeah. All right.
We'll have lots more to talk about next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Thank you for watching the live, or at this point, the recording version.
Hey. Bye.
All right, bye. End stream.
Okay.